Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live weekly energy forecast. So, in these sessions, we're going to have a look at the energy that is around this week. So, the astrological energy, the phase of the energetic phase of the moon, the energy of the seasons, and how these all layer on top of each other, which create our experience of the week. So, it's really helpful to understand these energies because they can really get us to understand what we're working with, what's influencing us, and also sometimes how to make better choices, what to prioritize based on what's coming up this week. So, for example, throwing yourself into a brand new building project when there's a lot of really tense Mars energy coming along could be something to avoid. So, when we start to pay attention to these things and we understand what's coming up as well, it can really give us an idea and insight into when the best things are, like when the best time is to do things, and also just to be mindful of the potential. So if there is, a loud and explosive transit one day, maybe it's not the best time to have that difficult conversation. Maybe you could wait till later in the week when things soften up a little bit. So there's lots of different ways we can work with this energy and understand what energy we have available to us and how we can navigate the week based on that. So let's dive in. This is a incredibly dynamic week that we have coming up, in quite a contrast to last week, which was quite mellow, and there was some really lovely, very, very supportive transits happening. This week is loud, is vibrant. We've got full moon in Leo, which is one of the most vibrant signs in the zodiac that likes to be seen and heard and do all of the things. So it's very and we've got a lot of Uranus energy involved this week as well, which is very electrifying, which is very invigorating. It's the planet of awakenings. It's the energy of a lightning bolt. So it's very much like sudden shock surprises, like injecting a real burst of energy into what would generally be quite a quiet and inward time of year. So we also have the full moon coming up in Leo, as I mentioned. So that is lots of potential for heightened emotions. Whenever full moons are happening, they are the peak of an energetic cycle. So it's almost like the summer of the monthly cycle. So the new moons are like the winter time, and then the full moons are like the summer. So even though summer's very vibrant outwards, we're out there and doing stuff. So even though we are in the depths of winter, when we have a full moon, it's almost like it's kind of polarizing. It's pulling us in an opposite direction. Like when, like naturally, just listening to the energy of the season wants us to like spiral inwards and pay attention and get quiet, listen to your intuition, rest, nourish, replenish. This energy kind of pulls us outward, particularly with a full moon in Leo. So it can be polarizing. It can also be a really good time to get stuff done because there's lots of energy around. However, this full moon in particular, because we've also got it squaring Uranus, and then we've also got Mercury squaring Uranus as well this week. It's just bringing lots of explosive, like quick moving energy this week. So we're going to break that down a little bit more, but just something really to be aware of and mindful of, that even though they're, again, I feel like a broken record, but I just need to highlight it because it is really important that this is a very, very quiet and inward time of year. And even when there's a lot of dynamic, fast moving energy on the surface, at the very, very lowest level, when we're really paying attention to the seasons of the year and what that is asking us to do, the way that we would approach a transit like this in the winter is very, very, very different to how we would approach it in the summer. If we were having a doubling up of like a big dynamic full moon with lots of Uranus energy in Leo season in the summer, then that is, there's a lot more energy around. And if anything, we probably need to cool and ground, but really get shit done. That's the time to put energy into stuff, throw your energy into things. But these kind of transits layering on top of the winter season, we have to approach things a little bit differently. It's still very important to be very, very mindful, to observe, to notice, to get quiet and still where you can, to make sure you're getting those moments of nourishment, and to be active in the process of taking care of yourself and making sure that you are still bringing that intention of replenishing your energy, really noticing what it is you need. Self-care is a really, really important thing to be focusing on at this time of year, and it will pay dividends in the future. So really something to be mindful of. Um, So let's get into the astrological highlights of the week. So we have Monday, the 10th of February, we have Mercury in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus, and this is kind of kicking off the build up to this full moon now. So we've got a bit of a parade of planets. We have Mercury coming in and squaring Uranus, then we have the Sun coming in, we have them, they've just made a cazimi with each other. So we've got Mercury coming in, the Sun coming in, and then we have the full moon, right? And they're all kind of moving, squaring Uranus, like bringing big energy and then moving on. So this is a big, loud week. Um, Uranus is electrifying energy. It kind of, and Uranus and Taurus is like shaky ground. It's almost like earthquakes. It can be almost like a lightning bolt, like striking the earth and then like throwing things up in the air. So, what that means in a more like abstract way is it can bring sudden change. It can earthquake a part of your life, depending on where this falls in your chart as well, can give you an indication of what area of life this might be hitting. Aquarius is the future. It's humanitarianism. It's very focused on the individual as a part of the collective. It is focused on the collective as a whole. It can be future oriented. It can be technology. It can be innovation. It can be aviation. It can represent lots and lots of different things. So on the collective level, maybe that, but then even on a personal level, like maybe Uranus has been shaking things up in that area of your life that contains Taurus. So what house area in your natal chart does Taurus sit? Say, for example, the fifth house. Maybe things have been thrown up in the air in around themes of children, of romance, of your creativity, your creative projects, the things that you do for that. If you're an artist, then maybe, you're changing up the way that you approach your art. Like it can be lots and lots of different things. So it can be quite a destabilizing energy. This with Mercury being involved, it can also be the mind, it can be communication, it can be your thoughts. But with this being in a square as well, it is a tense aspect. So there will be kind of like something shaking up over this next week if it's hitting you. Really pay attention to what's happening in your personal life because there's a light being shone on this right now. And this is not too far away from where like Mars stationed retrograde in Leo back in December the 6th. So we've got the sun kind of coming into the sign of Leo, having this dramatic aspect with Uranus, and it's almost like highlighting those themes. And then Mars is going to pass back over this point towards the end, I think over March and April. So there will be a revisitation of this. And I guess this is almost like a moment that's bringing things up to the surface. It's really shining a light on like, this is what's happening. Or it might be a really significant turning point within that journey. But something here is making me think that there might be a link between those two things. And then on Tuesday, the 11th of February, the day before the full moon will be exactly square Uranus. And then it will move on. The moon will then meet up with the sun and create a full moon, which is when the sun and the moon are on opposite sides of the zodiac. And then we've got this T-square from Uranus. So it's extra tense because it's not just a right angle, it's pulling in three different directions. And they're all pulling in opposite directions when they're in opposition and in square aspects to each other. So again, this is rebellious. This is the awakener. This can be sudden insights. This can be suddenly understanding something. It can, like, sun is our vitality, how we shine in the world, and this is like sudden electrifying tension, right? It can be it could also, with Uranus being in Taurus as well, like it could be tension between nature, like with it being in Taurus, and what's real and tangible and physical, because Taurus is an earth sign, between like technology as well, because the sun is going to be in Aquarius, and we also have Mercury there as well. So it could also bring up tensions around what's real and tangible and existing, then what's kind of where the future is going, technology, like communications, social media, like different things like that. So getting into this full moon, so the full moon is happening on Wednesday, the 12th of February, at 24 degrees. It's opposing Mercury, squaring Uranus, again, creating this T-square, further emphasizing this disruptive Uranus energy. Again, we've got the two luminaries in the solar system involved in this aspect, which just shines a light. There's so much light around with the full moon, and then the sun being involved as well. So again, I see like moments of like suddenly understanding something, like the Great Awakener. Um, it can shine a light on something, something might suddenly come to the surface, something sudden, shocking, surprising. So really, I would really encourage you to look at where this is happening in your chart. So where you have 24 degrees of Leo, 24 degrees of Aquarius, and then also where Uranus is sitting in Taurus. So where you've those three areas of your chart, this is where the tension is happening, and they're pulling in opposite directions, and they're going to be very, very, very activated this week. Um, and then just one final thing I'd like to touch on. Actually, before I move on, let me come back to this. So at times like this, when there are heightened emotions, when there's lots of energy around, it's really important to ground, nourish, nurture, take care of yourself. So that can be very, very destabilizing to the nervous system when something suddenly comes in and changes, when there's tension in life, when something maybe takes an unexpected turn. It can be very, very unsettling. Not always, some people respond really, really well, but also it's just to be mindful and take care of yourself at times like this. So, any practices that soothe and regulate your nervous system, if you're one of our members, we've got loads of practices on there that will help you with like the triple warmer, um, using the stress response, like tracing the triple warmer back to soothe your stress response and get you into that parasympathetic nervous system, I want to say. But I always get the nervous systems mixed up. But you know the one I mean, where you're resting and digesting and um not in stress. Um, so yes, like different practices like that when you are really soothing. So back breath work can be brilliant, gentle yoga, anything close to the earth where you're doing forward bends or grounding. Working with the stomach meridian sessions in the practice library as well on the membership can be brilliant just to ground and really take care of yourself because energy wants to lift. That's Uranus, and it's like the sudden electrifying energy. It implies levity to me. So when we can work with the opposites, that's when we can cultivate balance. So definitely working with grounding practices, also because full moons can bring heightened emotion as well. So when we are experiencing heightened emotion, that's water, then sometimes like just grounding can really help that not be as disruptive as it has potential to be with this full moon. So just be really mindful of that. And also know that because there's lots of loud energy, that we not can't necessarily always hear our inner voice, which is actually guiding us every step of the way as well. So taking time to kind of out to get quiet and really listen, as opposed to just being swept up in all the noise, can also be something that could be really beneficial for this week. Okay. So moving on now to the final aspect of the week. So we have on Friday, the 14th of February, which is Valentine's Day, we have Mercury entering Pisces. Now, this isn't like where Mercury loves to be. To be honest, it's probably the worst place for Mercury to be in a lot of ways because emotions can take over. Like Mercury is a very logical sign. It likes facts and figures and to understand the process of exactly how to do things. And Pisces has absolutely no tangibility whatsoever. Pisces is literally the least tangible of all of the signs. It's mutable water. So we have cardinal that begins, we have fixed, which is like contained water, and then we have mutable water that just has no limits. So Mercury can struggle here. It's not only in its detriment, but it's in its fall, which basically means that it's in its least favorite place in the zodiac. But it doesn't necessarily mean all bad things. It's just in a positive expression, Mercury in Pisces could be honeyed sweet words. It could actually be really nice Valentine's Day energy in that respect. There's a lot of spicy undertone to Valentine's Day, so I don't want you to be fooled in thinking that this is a beautiful day for love because there is potential for tension here because we're coming off the back of that full moon. It's a little bit hot and spicy. However, this Mercury comes in and kind of gives us a little bit of softness, I guess. So with Mercury moving into Venus's sign, it can be sweet honeyed words. It can be, this is very like beautiful poetry. Like your mind might not work in a super logical way, but it will also have the potential for creativity because it knows no bounds, right? So it can be, it could be quite a nice tone again, layering on over the top of that kind of tense energy that we're coming off the back of here. It might influence like a flavor of romance. But Mercury will be in Pisces for probably, oh God, I don't know, roughly 3 weeks. Don't quote me on that. So again, like we are just going to be like we're moving from a very Mercury's been in an air sign in Aquarius for the last like 3 weeks or so, where it's very clear, it's it's clear-headed, it's like communicating well, it understands things. Air is very logical energy. So there will be a bit of shift in tone to like clear-headedness and ultimate clarity to a little bit of cloudiness. If you are experiencing that, go with it. If you're someone who has Mercury natally in Cancer in your natal chart, you'll probably have a great time with this because it's aligned with the energy that actually you are. However, there might be a little bit of hazy cloudiness that's coming with this Mercury transit. Not the end of the world. Just if you have awareness around it, then you can understand it. So, just something to be aware of. Maybe not the best time to like make a solid like plan with all of the details in it. However, it could be something that's really, really helpful when it comes to like creativity, understanding something, or even dreaming as well. Dreamy, like Pisces is very dreamy, and they can also be incredible manifestors because there's no limits to what they can dream because it doesn't have limits. Pisces, it's just boundless ocean. So in that respect, like dreaming up something new and getting really quiet and checking in with this very, very watery winter energy as well could be a really, really nice time to kind of create in some form. Fantastic. Okay, so I think that's everything I wanted to touch on this week. So, over on our membership for those guys that are with us over there, the practices this week we've just released a embodying a character journaling workshop. So I love this under the Leo new moon, at the full moon, because Leo just loves attention and it wants to be out there, it wants to be seen. It's all about, it's probably like, well, it is the sign of the actor. So this month in our membership, we're focusing on building characters in order to flesh ourselves out. So focusing on certain areas of life that you want to change and improve, and then kind of bringing a character in that you can embody to bring a different perspective or a different energy to that area of life. So we're going to be focusing on that even more. So we've got the new class to go along with the embodiment practice that we released last week. And then we've got some really lovely journal practices within that session. So it's actually a live journaling session as opposed to what we just do each week where we just leave the journal prompts below this forecast video. This week it'll be a live journaling practice so you can follow along with that. So it's a really, really lovely session. I'd really encourage you to do it while all of this energy is around. It's very creative, wintry energy within this like vibrant Leo new moon that's going to give you a bit more confidence actually to kind of step out of your comfort zone, especially with that Uranus energy as well. And there's potential for breakthroughs here because we've got that Uranus energy coming in. And it's speaking to that Leo energy. There's potential to suddenly understand something. So yes, it's a tense aspect. However, it doesn't also necessarily mean that it's not going to bring clarity or positive things or good things. So there is potential there for that. So I think that's everything, everybody. If anyone wants to book a reading with me, go deeper, understand how these things are going to be affecting their charts more personally, please do get in touch. I will leave a link below if you're on YouTube or Instagram. The link is in the bio. And I will catch up with you next week for another weekly forecast. Lots of love.